VRChat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunter's universe. His continuing mission? To seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts. To discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind. And to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
Hello and welcome everyone to Gunter's Universe. How is all these great people in the audience doing tonight? Yeah? Are you guys happy? Are you guys having fun? Here in the metaverse? Yep. It's going to be an awesome show tonight, so welcome back everyone. I can't wait to introduce you guys to my guest tonight. His name is Bernhard Drax, a.k.a. Draxter Dupree, host of the Draxfiles Radio Hour in Second Life. And let me read a little bit more about him. He has been part of the Second Life community since the beginning and is now a well-known personality in Second Life. He's a champion of user-created digital content in VR and is well-known for his award-winning video series, the Draxfiles World Makers. It's on YouTube. The series highlights the creative people behind the avatars who move the virtual world of Second Life. So you can check out, he has a podcast, Draxfiles Podcast. His website's Draxter.com. And here he is. Draxter, what's up, buddy? Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Gunter, thank you for having me. This is awesome, and thank you for pronouncing my Second Life name, the last name, Dupree, correctly. This doesn't happen often. It happens
Sure.
almost none of the time.
I almost left it out because I wasn't sure. I even Googled the pronunciation of that, and I got mixed results. And then I was watching more YouTube videos with you in it, and you introduced yourself and said your Second Life last name. So, woo, got it right. Yeah, man, thanks so much. We're going to dive into the interview and talk all about social VR, Second Life, and cool stuff. Before we do that, we're going to talk to Bob, who's my co-host here, a.k.a. Cause and Effects. How you doing, Bob?
Fantastic. Good evening. I'm Cause and Effects, bringing you the top headlines in VR news from this past week. Our top story: NVIDIA announced on its website last week the GTX 1060 for the starting price of $249 US. Has been crafted for speed and optimized for performance per watt.
Awesome.
Manufactured on the FinFET 16nm process, the GTX 1060 delivers GTX 980 level performance and twice the energy efficiency in VR. It consumes only 120 watts of power while driving the latest VR and DirectX 11 and 12 PC games at blistering speeds. The GTX 1060 features 1,280 CUDA cores, 6 gigs of GDDR5 memory running at 8 gigabits per second, and a boost clock of 1.7 gigahertz, which can be easily overclocked to 2 gigahertz for further performance. Across the top gaming titles, GTX 1060 is on average 15% faster and over 75% more power efficient than the closest competitive product at stock speeds. The GTX 1060 supports NVIDIA VRWorks. Included with VRWorks is NVIDIA's simultaneous multi-projection technology, which allows the GTX 1060 to seamlessly project a single image simultaneously to both eyes, yielding a 3x VR graphics performance improvement over previous generation GPUs. Simultaneous multi-projection is being integrated into the world's biggest game engines, Unreal Engine and Unity. More than 30 games are already in development, including Unreal Tournament, Cool Nation VR, Everest VR, Abduction, Adrift, and Raw Data. NVIDIA VR Funhouse, the company's VR Carnival game, will be available for free later this month from Valve's Steam digital distribution service. Developed in Epic Games Unreal Engine 4, VR Funhouse will work on the GTX 1080, 1070, and 1060 GPUs and HTC Vive headsets. It will also be open source to developers and artists so they can create their own VR Funhouse attractions. The GTX 1060 Founders Edition board, designed and built by NVIDIA, will be available starting on July 19th for $299, and GTX 1060 Custom boards will also be available starting from July 19th from NVIDIA GeForce Partners, starting at an MSRP of $249.
So that's it. Released on my birthday. I gotta buy it for myself now. Shit.
What are you rocking, the 970
There's
now?
more money. I'm in a 980. I'm not actually gonna upgrade it.
Yeah, it's more of a side grade. The only thing that we'd gain is some of the the multi-projection stuff. I'll probably wait to see if they come out with a 1080 Ti. Yeah, it's definitely affordable. Yeah. So it's got 6 gigs of VRAM, which is kind of in between the two ATI RX 480s. They have a model at $199, which is 4 gigs, and then an 8 gig model for $239. So the NVIDIA model is going to be slightly more, but it's going to have supposed to have higher performance.
Bob, what's the next story?
Next up, in other news, a couple of conference announcements. The first one made was VRDC, the Virtual Reality Developers Conference, launched alongside GDC in March 2016, bringing together creators of VR and AR for games and entertainment. The second edition of VRDC will be a standalone event, November 2nd and 3rd, expanding beyond games and entertainment to include VR for brand experiences and innovative use cases across a range of industries. Held at the Park Central Hotel in San Francisco, the event will provide more intimate setting for networking with VR innovators and vendors. VRDC will continue to be held alongside the Game Developers Conference in 2017, the world's largest professional gaming industry event. VRDC at GDC will continue to focus on creating amazing, immersive VR games and entertainment. Early bird tickets on sale now start at $999. For more info, go to GDConf.
Much more than a 1080.
/VRDC.
Whoa! Only $1,000 to mingle with the best of the best in an intimate setting, dude. That's cheaper than lunch at Hillary Clinton's fundraiser. So I think I might just go. But shit, first I gotta sit back down. I'm always about to go to...
It's fun. Fun to watch the struggle, I suppose. Let's do one more piece of news, and then we'll move on.
All right, so the next conference announced earlier today via email and the Oculus blog is for Oculus Connect 3, which will be in San Francisco this year from October 5th to the 7th at the San Jose McHenry Convention Center. The blog post states, quote, "This year's Connect will be our largest developer conference yet, with more than 50 technical talks and opportunities to experience new Oculus hardware and content. Featuring signature keynotes from Brandon Ereb, John Carmack, and Michael Abrash. You'll be the first to hear the latest news and announcements from Oculus and our partners, and see a glimpse into the future of VR. We'll open applications to... Irib. I always get his name wrong.
I've heard it,
such a nag,
a couple ways.
Sorry.
We'll open up applications to attend OC3 at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, August 2nd. Visit the Connect site, oculusconnect.com, to learn more about the conference and register. The blog post goes on to state, quote, "Rift now shipping in 2 to 4 business days. All Rift pre-orders have now shipped, and new Rift orders from Oculus.com are shipping within 2 to 4 business days. We want to apologize for the delays in getting Rifts out to doorsteps. We appreciate that without your support, VR wouldn't be where it is today. Thank you for your patience over the last few months. We've also started to ramp up inventory for retail partners online and in stores, and added more Rift demos at retail locations across the U.S. Starting this month, you'll be able to get your hands on Rifts at select Microsoft stores. In addition, our demo space will expand to Best Buys in more than 500 U.S. stores now through the fall. Schedule your demo and learn about new locations in your area with Oculus Live. We're on track to launch Touch and introduce new hand presence along with an amazing lineup of games and experiences later this year. We'll have lots more to share about the Touch and 30-plus launch titles at Oculus Connect 3.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The Touch is Q4 this year, by the way.
Yeah. I did read that too. I think we're gonna. It said there's gonna be full like production by Q4, so I think we're gonna see something in Q3. Maybe it's they'll give away Touch at the conference. Everybody will get a Oculus Touch into their chair. I'm not really sure, but that's my guess. So very cool. Bob, was there anything else on your list that was? I feel like there was something at the end.
Well, we had the VR cover Kickstarter that started, and then there's a couple of AAA title announcements, which are Codemasters released version 1.2 of Dirt Rally yesterday, which adds support for Oculus Rift CV1, available on both the Oculus Store and Steam for $59 US. And last week, Half-Court Studios' Fruit Ninja VR is now available on Steam via early access for the HTC Vive. Currently it's 20% off at $11.99 US.
Cool, dude. More games. All right, thanks, Bob, for telling us in the news. I know I've been out of it for the last week, so it's great to catch up. All right, Drax?
No problem.
Yeah, I'm sitting. I'm ready to go. I might stand up
Awesome.
again.
I think we're finally getting into it after, 45 minutes here. So my first
Almost people are getting up because it's. I gotta
question
tell
is,
folks, it's 4 in the It's actually 4:45 in the morning here where I am, and I'm doing this for Gunter, man. I got up at 2 a.m. because Gunter's universe is just is the shit basically, and I have to just do it. I have to just bite the bullet and get up real early.
I really appreciate that. Everybody in Europe struggles to get here, of course, because it's live. We are here together at the same time, and I couldn't do it 5 hours earlier.
No, but actually, this is really cool. I don't want to interrupt you, but virtual reality and virtual worlds and all that have really broken down sort of physical restrictions, and we can all be together with a sense of presence in a space. And the biggest problem that there is actually time zones. Somebody got to get rid of time zones, man. I don't know how, but
and sleep cycle,
sleep cycles, all this stuff.
We just sleep in VR. If everything's in VR, we can totally do it.
Exactly.
Well, so there's a little bit of a delay, and it's early for you, and you have to mute yourself because of some feedback. So it's going to be a little bit, I think, a challenge at times, but that's okay. I first met you at SVVR. You were kind enough to interview me. It's on one of your latest podcasts, and it was really cool. You're just I described it as you're super interesting and delightful. I mean, you gave me a bunch of love, and I want to give it back. It was we didn't get to spend enough time together, but you're just cool dudes. So now here we are. I want you to tell everybody who you are, a little bit of your background. Let's start there.
Okay, and thank you, Gunter, for the kind words. And I have to say that many of the Second Life community have been with. Before I introduce myself, I gotta get this out. Second Life's been around for 13 years, and we sometimes when we see stuff in the news media of like, oh, this is the first this is the first that in VR, we get a little, sensitive, and sometimes we might overreact by like posting, like, let's say, somebody might post something on his Facebook page saying, what, VRChat is the first chat room? Get out of here. We've been doing this for 13 years. So I apologize for sometimes overreacting, because it's not to knock the you guys or to knock people who do really cool stuff moving this medium forward. What really bugs me is the media, which has sort of this amnesia and never kind of contextualizes stuff where the stuff is coming from. And I think that will be that's necessary to just look at the timeline. I mean, I had Jackie Moria on my podcast, and she's been doing VR for like 40 years, and she developed a scent collar in the 80s, and she had a headset that was 50 pounds, that kind of stuff. And so anyway, so who am I? I'm a musician. I actually studied music formally at a conservatory. Sounds really terrible, and it is very conservative, believe me. And then I discovered Second Life in 2007, and I got obsessed with telling stories about Second Life. So what is Second Life? Second Life is a virtual world. Yes, it is still around. Yes, it still generates about 600 million US dollars user-to-user transactions of virtual goods and services annually. There are thousands and thousands, probably about 1 million active users who create stuff every day, who make entire worlds, and so unbeknownst to the media, it is very vibrant. And in 2007, I started documenting what people do in these worlds. Who are these people? Why are they doing it? And my first story was about democracy role-playing in Second Life. There's a community called Neufreistadt. It's like a replica of a German town. And I found out by sort of doing just basic, shoe leather journalism, I guess. I went in there with my avatar and interviewed these people, and I found out that a lot of people who were sort of playing this sort of town and with democratic institutions, and they had meetings. I mean, it was kind of bizarre. Like, why do you go into a virtual world where you could do anything, and these people sit around in a castle and discuss, should we build this bridge, or why shouldn't we build this bridge? And seriously, I'm not kidding you. That was in 2007. It turned out that a lot of these people are retired public officials. So that was my first story, and so basically, they retired from whatever job they had, and they go like, it's kind of boring in retirement. What can we do? I could just do the same thing that I did all my life in virtual worlds. And so in the early days, 2007, 2008, I did every 2 weeks. I did one reportage. And that was a very intense time. And then I met Noni de la Peña, who is now labeled the godmother of virtual reality and immersive journalism, and she was building a replica of the Guantanamo prison camp in Second Life as sort of a social experiment where you could go in and then you are you become a prisoner in Guantanamo, and she wanted to start that conversation. And I did a story about that, and that got a lot of play in Vanity Fair, and I won an award, and blah, blah, blah. And then it went on, and now I'm doing a monthly series called the Draxfiles Worldmakers and the podcast, and I'm not stopping. Last month I did a story about a woman who makes virtual shoes, and she sent her son to college by making virtual shoes in Second Life. That's all she does. She makes some dresses too, but
that's amazing.
So, yeah, and
yeah, I mean, I love stories like that, right? You're doing something I really love by highlighting these world makers,
right?
Because that's what I like a lot about social VR virtual worlds is the people behind everything and the community. It's for me, it's not so much the tech, but that
exactly.
I get to benefit from being around all these people, and they all do too, and it's really phenomenal. And you guys in Second Life have been doing basically that. It's the people that you're interacting is really the core.
Right, and let me say, and I totally. Oops, am I live on the mic? Sorry, I didn't mute it when you were talking. I agree 100% with you, and this is if I come away with 3 things that I learned from Second Life is that, and which I would apply to moving forward now with virtual reality, and more immersive technology and input technology, is that the avatars and the economic empowerment are super important. So, like I was, like I said, I was a little bit judgmental about VRChat when I first encountered it. But now that I know you can create avatars, you can create worlds, I think that is just something that I didn't know, and so that is really awesome, because what is so important about Second Life is that everybody can create their own avatar and represent themselves the way they feel inside. So I did a story about she's 89 now, an 89-year-old Parkinson's patient from San Diego who plays a young woman in Second Life, and all she does is she does horseback riding in Second Life. She does she puts on these elaborate ballroom dances where she appears, her avatar is like mid-30s and elaborate ball gowns. And the benefit, and they study her at UC Irvine, and they found out that when she engages in these Second Life events, her dopamine levels are up, and she's just generally more happy, and some of the Parkinson's symptoms fall away. And mind you, that's in Second Life with no headset or other immersive added technology. That's just her on the screen identifying so much because she has those memories, she has this experience, identifying so much with her avatar that this stuff really works. So I hope that moving forward, all the entities that are working on social virtual worlds and the metaverse keep that in mind, because frankly, floating hands, the Facebook demo with the with like, oh cool, I can have like a panoramic photo of London, isn't that cool? And I have like floating. I know they're just doing demos, and this is certainly not the end game, right? But like, I gotta say, dudes, you gotta focus on some other shit. You gotta empower people and not just relegate them to consuming stuff. I know you guys are all probably gamers, and I've said this in many other interviews. I'm not a gamer because when my peers sort of gamed, I was so obsessed with music that I was just basically practicing scales on my guitar all day, and you guys were playing games, so there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that when I came into Second Life, what appealed to me is the empowerment aspect. So it's more than just playing a game, it's making your own thing, right? So that's
your own
sense in our
your
monologue.
Your plot of land, or in here we have rooms, which I've made mine, and I call it a universe. It's Gunter's universe, and I love that empowerment. Right, I got to start a freaking talk show in the metaverse. I never thought I would do anything like that, or anything. It never occurred to me. It's so amazing. It's fun. Let's see. So many questions, and you brought up a whole bunch of things. I definitely do want to go into the firsts and the sort of controversy between. There's some people in the VR community that just don't think Second Life is not true VR, and think that it's just a furry crowd. I'm sure. I mean, this is what a lot of people have said and bring up. I know this is must be just the worst thing that, I don't know, maybe not, but for getting that stigma, which there's stigma, unfortunately.
Well, first of all, I love furries.
And
I think furries are often, the butt of the joke, and everybody makes fun of furries.
Right.
There is a huge furry community in Second Life. There's many other communities, and sorry, I didn't want to step on you, but you're bringing up this important.
No, please.
This important subject matter of misperception, and I think what you guys, or the new, let me call it the new VR crowd, can learn from Second Life is that we are battle hardened, because after the Second Life hype in 2007, 2008, the entire Second Life community, which is incredibly diverse. There's not only furries. There's much weirder shit going on, and that, right, Iliastra? He's right there. Yeah. There's people from Microsoft in Second Life. Can you believe this shit? I mean, that's way worse than furries. But so the point is that and I don't wish this on the VR movement, and I don't think things repeat itself. But it was really weird when Second Life became sort of this punching bag, primarily because the media decided the hype was over. Several big projects failed, like big business projects, whatever. Adidas came in and they didn't get their return on investment, so they were like, oh, this platform sucks, whatever. And that caused a tremendous backlash that Second Life is still sort of reeling from. And this is something that could happen, I think, arguably at any point in time with VR right now, and arguably, I'm not talking about some critical articles. I'm really with Second Life. It's like uniform bashing from all sorts of things. But anyway, let me just say that again, Second Life is a virtual world, and we are here in VR. What the definition of VR is, I frankly don't know. I'm not an academic,
I don't know.
but I find it irrelevant in terms of the discussion. To kind of like, it reminds me of a discussion I had in high school, if Angus Young from AC/DC or Eddie Van Halen is the better guitar player. It's almost like that. VR as a term, the way Silicon Valley uses, is to sell product, and that's fine. VR is a platform for them where they can sell hardware and software. Just like mobile. So, what is mobile? Mobile is something that you play on a mobile device. VR is something where you have controllers of any sort, kind, whatever. Now, it's 360 video VR. I don't know. All these discussions have an economic angle, and this economic angle misses the whole point what virtual reality can be. Virtual reality, I think, can and must be empowering human beings to get closer to each other in a diverse world that they create for themselves. That's, to me, that will be the definition of virtual reality. And then we throw in virtual worlds with it. Here, Deep Rifter here in the back, who I also had the pleasure of meeting in quote-unquote real life at the Sundance Film Festival, and I said this earlier, Sundance and all these festivals are all really kind of gung-ho about like, oh, VR is the next big, oh, this is amazing, we can do this and that. And that's all fine. But I think it's in many ways, hopefully only temporarily, a step back from this empowerment and democratization that Second Life pioneered. Because Second Life is a platform where everybody can get in, where nonprofits, like a small nonprofit who is helping blind people or whatever. I just did a story on nonprofits. There's a woman from Baltimore. She works with inner city kids. Second Life is completely accessible. A virtual platform where she can create with very minimal technical skills. She can just throw it together. They don't have, they're so short-staffed they can't put stuff together in Unity. They can't hire a Unity developer. I know I'm going all over the place with my thoughts, but let me wrap this up. So going back to the point, virtual reality has to be about creating worlds for everyone, not only the Sundance crowd, not only people who get big funds from a foundation. It's all good stuff. It's not devaluing it, but we need to break down these barriers between the consumer. This goes back to what you said, Gunter. You go in here, you go like, wow, this is a possibility. I can do my own show. This kind of empowerment is what I think virtual reality has to be. So that's my definition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
and one
love,
last technical point. So it's just to clear it up. Second Life is because it cannot deliver consistent frame rates that the Vive and the Oculus require today. Linden Lab, the makers of Second Life, have publicly stated that they are not pursuing making it compatible. There's an older Oculus viewer that works with very scaled down graphics. What works really well is Warp. It's VorpX, so it's like VORPX.com, where you can sort of virtualize all your games. So that is very cool. If you're in Second Life, you should check that out. But again, this.
I also heard that they're working on, is it called Project Sansar, which is like the next one, yeah.
Second Life project, right?
Right. So what Project Sansar is, and I've tried it a few times over at Linden Lab, is very exciting. Project Sansar is basically a virtual universe or world-building tool where, according to Linden Lab, everybody will be able to create their own worlds very easy. So it takes on several other competitors head-on. I would say, I mean, they don't publicly say it like this is my personal analysis. Unity for one, right? So they are working on a tool that makes it extremely easy to put together worlds for people who have no coding background or no 3D modeling background, just like Second Life. The Second Life in-world world-building engine called the Prim, or the Prim-based building system, has empowered, again, I'm a broken record, millions of people to make their own businesses, because it's really like just shaping, shaping stuff in-world with other people or alone or whatever. So they're putting this together with Sansar. Sansar will be compatible with every input device that you can imagine. It will have an economy, just like the Linden Dollar in Second Life. It's unclear if it's going to be sort of a virtual currency
What about
or
real
if it's
estate?
just a dollar. That's right. The real estate question is a good one. Linden Lab has publicly stated that land will probably be free, because the Second Life model of Linden Lab making money through selling you virtual land has turned out not to be the ideal monetization concept for them.
Right.
So the CEO, Ebba Altberg, has stated that land will probably be free, at least a small plot, so you can get started right away, and then they will monetize by taking a little sales tax, or if you have sort of a revenue share model that some of these other tools have. I'm very excited about Project Sansar. At the same time, and I've said this publicly as well, and I'm good friends with Ebba, and I don't think he minds me saying this, Project Sansar is not going to be Second Life 2.0, and I think there will be things missing that are extremely important for Second Life enthusiasts, and they might be that. The cool thing about Second Life, it's an interconnected metaverse. It's like 40,000 something islands, I don't know, don't quote me on that number, but or 40,000 servers that are simulating the world, and they're all interconnected, and you can just teleport from one to the other, and you have games that stretch many different sims, and it's all interconnected. So that kind of concept, I don't think Linden Lab is pursuing with Project Sansar, and to me this is somewhat regrettable, because I dream of the metaverse as depicted in Snow Crash, Ready Player One, any number of novels, But I understand from a business perspective, it's a pain in the butt to administer that. It's a lot easier if you say, you create your room, you create your world, and then we support you. But so anyway, but Second Life creator Philip Rostill is of course doing High Fidelity, which then arguably has exactly that concept where he wants to interconnect all machines. So who knows? There's several players in the field right now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've met, I'm friends with people on a lot of these different social platforms, because that's where my passion is now. And it's really interesting. I'm vested in VRChat, but I still like seeing all social VR and it rising, and to me that's what we need in virtual reality, is the human component of things. And I want to see more creators, the society of creators, less consumers, and I think VR can be that place, but maybe it can teach us. I think Second Life is sort of like that, where people that didn't even know they were creative or would say, I'm not creative, got involved in Second Life and started to realize through easy tools that I think we're going to have here, I think in any social VR application where you can build with your hands and you don't need to know coding or 3D modeling. But that these people
totally
discovered that they are
mind.
creators,
Exactly.
that they have that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right, you're totally speaking my mind. That this is really the gist of also my video series and the podcast is exactly what you're saying. And I'm also passionate about people realizing, I can do this. I'm not relegated to just like do some shitty job 9 to 5 and then come home and kind of zone out in front of the TV or whatever. No, I can actually look forward to going home and then maybe building my own world. That's the world I want to live in, because when people discover that they can do this, and a lot has to do with all sorts of societal constraints, and I think virtual reality has the power to actually really overcome it. And Second Life is the best proof. I've met hundreds of people personally, and within the context of the show, who said, I have never, in school, I was never like, I was always intimidated or inhibited of even like drawing something compelling, or, it was a nightmare. And now all of a sudden, I kind of like, I discovered this thing in myself, and I'm putting this out there and I'm sharing it. It's an amazing feeling. And, I'm going to get all like hippie piece or whatever. And mind you, I'm not stoned or anything, but I do believe that maybe this will result in a better world, right? If we're all just like creating rather than being just frustrated about shit. Like if we start like playing like kids in a sandbox again, and that can be virtual reality. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, life is more play would be what I'd like to see. What was I thinking? Oh, I have a video. I want to play the video I found of your kind of trailer for your World Makers. Found that to be really interesting and sort of just highlights a few bit people that are in that series that you talked to. So I'm gonna play
Right,
that
and I want to say one thing. Some of these people, you're
Second
playing
Life
it.
is
I'm
my
going to shut
main
up.
income.
Go ahead.
Anyone can
I'll
create anything. That's the whole draw for me.
People
Hopefully pause
have
it.
no
Oh no,
idea
can't
that
pause
they
it.
are creative.
Wow.
Come into Second Life and find out that they can make things.
So, Zach, you are the king of magic in Second Life.
My character was going to be a wizard. I started making spells for him to use.
You're not limited in what you're allowed to do. You can do nearly anything.
I make dresses that are rather difficult to make in physical reality.
We raise funds to feed children in Kenya.
I am the creator of the Mr. Bones Machinima series.
We have a band in Second Life and it's called Engrama.
I use Second Life for virtual time travel. We recreated Berlin during the 1920s. You can learn a lot about the Weimar Republic era by reliving it.
This is a National Science Foundation educational grant.
The avatar represents who I really feel inside.
Created in real life, this art takes its own personality in Second Life.
Our focus really has been on Second Life just because there's so much fun stuff that we can make.
I had to keep creating. I can't not create.
When I first heard about Second Life, that was the fit for my project because of how immersive it is.
To see it progress from the raw idea to completion is just a fantastic experience. I don't think that magic ever disappears.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there you see it. I haven't seen that trailer in a while, but here you can see, for example, Zach, who is now I think 22 or whatever. He started in Second Life when he was 12 years old, which is illegal because it's I think it's 16 over or 13 with educational institutions. And he made a lot of money just scripting spells for role-playing communities. He started a business making spells and particles effects for Harry Potter role-playing communities. Then you've seen a little clip of Engrama, which is a band, kind of a Radiohead type band based in Barcelona. They play 3 shows per day sometimes in Second Life. So basically, they stream the music in there. They have animations that are in sync with what they're doing in real life, and they work on tips. So they have maybe 100 people come to each show. Every person maybe just get if every person gives them just $1, which is 300 Linden dollars, the in-game currency, they make $100 per show, but playing from their home. For an indie band, that's really not bad, and they can play 3 shows per day for different time zones. You've seen in that clip, you've also seen, I think, the diversity. You have an older woman who is an illustrator who has what is it called? Fibrosis. Help me out here. Cystic fibrosis. Fibromyalgia. Thank you. She was an illustrator, and she just cannot handle the intricacy of the pen, and so she went over to digital creations. And so it's incredibly empowering what Second Life has done and what it is doing. It's just Jesus Christ. When I just saw that trailer after like 6 months or whatever, and it's like, whoa, there's a lot of cool shit going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great, and I'm looking forward to diving more into your series, your World Makers series. I mean, it's perfect. I think there's a lot that virtual VR. I guess the rebirth of VR is how I sometimes describe it. And now that we have our VR headsets, so we have a lot to learn from communities like Second Life, and I'm sure other communities, but Second Life's been around so long. So things like, I'm curious how how does Second Life deal with copyright protection? You're mentioning the Harry Potter communities. I'm sure, I don't know what I don't understand. I'm curious about all this stuff. So what have you seen or heard?
Right. This is a good question, and this is really an issue. There's no solution. But let me throw a couple of anecdotes here. There was a Battlestar Galactica community in Second Life that had that's a good example of they were selling uniforms and stuff like that within the community, and they were approached by Universal, who has the right over Battlestar Galactica, and said, you got to stop doing this. This is intellectual property violation. And they came back to them, right, and they opened a channel and said, we're big fans. This is like fan fiction or whatever. We're not trying to make money, and so they came to an actual agreement where Universal said, as long as they not monetize it by putting digital virtual goods out on the marketplace and selling it, that's totally fine. So that's a good example. Here's a nasty example, and this is really not Second Life's or Linden Labs' fault, although some people may disagree. There is in-world competition between creators of virtual goods, especially in the clothing industry, because it's so huge. People make tons of money. I'm going to do a story about a woman from the Netherlands who brings home about $10,000 per month in virtual goods. I'm not kidding. We're going to show this. She's open. I asked her, do you want to be that upfront? Are you not like afraid of getting robbed or some shit when you're so open about how much money you make? But there is what happens often is that some creator puts out something, and then another creator says, wait a minute, you ripped this off from me. And the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just married to one for 15 years, and she's not here right now. But the Digital Millennium Copyright Act has this provision where you can file a DMCA that on platform XYZ, somebody is ripping off your shit. And then the company that runs the platform has to notify that person, and then that person has to file a counterclaim, and then all of that stuff is out in the open. So you can ruin someone's business by just sort of claiming this person is ripping me off, even though that's not true. And that is happening in Second Life and has happened for some time. So let's say, I'm new in the clothes. I want to make I want to make virtual flip-flops. And I'm making these flip-flops, and then I look around on the Second Life marketplace, and I see these wonderful flip-flops that are selling very well, and then I find out that creator, and then I just say, this guy ripped it off from another company, or ripped it off from me, and then I can stifle that person's business, at least temporarily, until that person is forced to reveal, like, when did he create it and how did he create it. It's just like taking someone to court and throwing paperwork at them. So that's a bigger problem, I think, than ripping off big intellectual property. If you go to the Second Life marketplace right now, you can find any number of, things from current movies. You can find millions of raccoon avatars. I told Jake earlier, that are arguably, where's the fine line? Is this galaxy, the bigger problem is that it's not resolved. What happens when two small business owners basically have a dispute, and how do you settle that? And I can only suspect that this is going to happen in worlds going forward, if this is High Fidelity or Project Sansar. And I don't know what Linden Lab or High Fidelity is planning on kind of curbing that. Another issue is, of course, harassment and all that kind of stuff. Where Second Life also,
that's
I think
next on my list is how do you moderate people, and luckily we have a great here in VRChat, everybody's super cool, and we haven't had to deal with much drama or issues. Of course, it's still beta, and then a lot of people that are into VR are a little bit more mature, and they're paying a lot of money for this hardware because VRChat's only on the PC, so it's going to take you a bit to get in. So I think we're sort of insulated from a bunch of bullshit coming down because of those things, but it's going to change. Any thoughts on moderation, the tools, or just what people have had to gone through, and any thoughts on that?
Right. Really important point. And before I say that, you just called gamers more mature. That's of course disputable. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't saying just gamers. No.
No. I know what you mean, because this is a self-selecting audience that wants to be here. They want to be at the show. They have the hardware, so they put a lot of investment in it, and they also have names. So in Second Life, what has been criticized a lot is anonymity. That with in the internet as a whole, I find that totally problematic. It's not an easy solution. I think the anonymity or pseudonymity can be extremely powerful. When people in Second Life don't want to reveal their quote-unquote real-life identity, that doesn't mean they're up to no good necessarily. They just don't feel they want to be. They feel like they want to be that avatar, and that's, to me personally, completely fine, and it's totally, again, empowering. And not everybody is an extrovert like Mr. Zuckerberg, who tells everyone if you don't have a real name, then there's something wrong with you. That's total bullshit. So we got to find a way where we empower people with their identity exploration and at the same time have some sort of safety. In Second Life, there is a whole bunch of really crazy stories where a woman was dating some guy in Second Life, and then they broke up, and she put on an adult diaper and drove across the country to meet him in real life, and then was hiding in his room with a rifle or something. I get the details straight, but this is
diaper.
Yes, because she needed to, she wanted to drive. She didn't want to stop over to pee, so she put an adult diaper on. Or was that the astronaut who was harassing somebody else? Anyway, maybe.
Wow.
I'm mixing up stories, but you can look this stuff up. There's plenty of stories like that. Now, this can happen anywhere. This can happen in other online forums or on Twitter or anywhere else. Second Life is not unique like that, but the harassment can be quite severe. I used to be naive about this. I used to say, well, why don't you just teleport away? It's not that simple, though. So, again, what you said earlier here, VRChat, stuff like that is not happening yet. As soon as you open a world for everyone to go into, you will deal with these problems. There is no way around it. We have to find ways where we find a middle ground between sort of a totalitarian state, because I don't want to live in a world that is hosted by any type of tech entity that has the power to ban me on the basis of someone just sort of saying whatever they want about me. That's going back to earlier. You can destroy someone by making up stuff if the system is such that, hey, if there's one accusation coming, then you're off the platform, and then you have to prove, and then it takes you a year to get back in. Online harassment is a big problem. Where am I going with this? I'm trying to find. I'm trying to figure out like a magic solution. I really don't have one. It's like real life. The biggest problem is that, like I said,
why not just teleport, or why not just mute? Is that not enough? What was the?
Here's the problem: when you mute, somebody is coming and they harass you, like locally in some specific space on a concert or something. Then you teleport away, right? So then you can mute person, you can block a person. The person can sign up in 5 seconds. Can sign up someone else, another avatar, come back in and continue doing it. So a simple solution would be based on the IP address that Linden Lab or whoever runs the world is finding out this is the same person. There is plenty of evidence that they're doing this. Now we're going to ban that person. That sounds reasonable, but there's of course VPN networks. There's all sorts of workarounds around that. So yeah, I really don't know. But like I said, I just want to say also my naivete, because I think it's important for you guys to know if people will sell that as a solution, because it's not. I used to say, hey, I am Drax Dupre, and I have a certain stake in the world, so if I do some shit, it's connected to my name, so that's why I'm not doing this shit, right? But that only applies to me, because I don't want to be an asshole. If if you come in and you want to be an asshole, then you have a completely different motivation, and you don't care if your name is associated with being an asshole. So we gotta keep thinking about this. I don't have a solution. It's a problem.
Yeah, there's more than just verbally harassing people.
Right. That's right.
Or yeah, there's now I mean, just a simple thing. I'm sure like people harassing people to the point where they're like claiming copyright, that they're stealing my shit, and that's a whole harassment situation going on right there. But simpler forms of harassment, like in some of the social VR platforms, there's been problems now that hand controls are part of the picture, and so we've seen some people like going up to girls and trying to fondle them or jack guys off, and they're they can't get away from them and stuff. So it's been a topic around here, and I'm sort of sometimes naive too. I'm like, well, you can visibly, let's mute them, let's audio mute them. But I do think it's a challenge, a problem. There's, if you mute somebody in the room, say I mute Bob, just for me, everybody else can still hear Bob, but I can't. So we both start maybe talking at the same time, and that's confusing. So yeah, not a simple problem.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up. I'm gonna just stand here and talk like a politician.
Sounds good.
You brought up something important, and that's great, because the type of harassment is, of course, really not confined to like little things like just saying you're an idiot. It's really can be sexual harassment, can be really severe stalking, way beyond making someone's business fail or whatever. In Second Life, of course, the biggest thing was the raining penises in 2006. I'm really hesitant to bring it up because the mainstream news brings it up all the time. There was one incident. I mean, it's in hindsight, it's actually really funny. There was a serious, very serious sort of business meeting, and then somebody came in and just had penises coming out. I think it was CNET, Iliastra. I don't know if you recall. Maybe you want to back me up on.
Yeah, it was Chang. I think the real estate mogul was.
Angie Chang, yeah. Right. Right. There was a real estate mogul. She is actually still doing really well. The first virtual millionaire, Angie Chung, and she was interviewed by CNET on stage, and there was like maybe, 100 people, maybe they even streamed it, and then somebody came in and had penises flying down. So, yeah.
I've been waiting for that to happen here. I actually encourage everyone to rain penis down on me. I think everybody watches it.
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah.
Somebody get right on it, man.
Back in the day.
Next week's going to be fun. Yeah. Okay. There's a whole bunch of things I could go into. Which seems most interesting? We were talking about like virtual identities, avatar customization. So I have a virtual identity. I'm Gunter. My mom didn't give me that name, though. I've chosen to become what I represent myself here. Mostly I am just myself, of course, but, give myself a little, have some fun, explore some of that. So, and going back to Facebook, I had to give myself a last name just so I could sign up for these services out there. So Gunter S. Thompson is my full VR name. But I'm interested just to hear maybe some stories, some of your thoughts on having a virtual identity. Yeah.
Right, and Gunter S. Thompson it's just beyond awesome, and you're probably not gonna be thrown off Facebook either because they go like, hey, that sounds like a real name.
Yeah, exactly.
So identity. One story comes to mind. A whole bunch of them that I pursued. One is this 89-year-old woman who plays a 30-year-old woman who is completely able-bodied, looks very, glamorous. And I've heard it expressed within my own circle of friends, and that actually makes me really angry when, and I don't know if people even mean it, but really the asshole comes out. Like I would show people that, and I also worked actually on a feature documentary about Second Life called Log Into Life for German television in 2011 with a woman who has multiple sclerosis. in her mid-60s, and she also plays a younger woman in Second Life. And people have expressed to me, "Oh, look at that old woman! Of course, she's like she wants to be young. Come on!" Like, oh my God! Like they were really dismissing this, and I was appalled. I was at some event where a journalist walked up. It was a press event for the movie here in Germany, and the journalist of the paper said, "So what did you do all day?" Like he was asking the star of the movie. Oops, I just hit my computer screen. The fucking controller.
All of the screen.
I'm in a small room. Okay, so we introduced her. Said she's in bed sometimes when the multiple sclerosis is really bad, but she can interface in Second Life, and she can do a lot of stuff. She's completely able-bodied in there, and she can run her groups, and she can have fun, and so on and so forth. Then the journalist says, "So what did you? Can you talk me through your typical day?" And then the woman, Gentle Heron, says, "Well, this morning I gave a tour of a bunch of Israeli students from University XYZ." She was referring to Second Life, right? So she was saying, "I gave them a tour of our facility for blind people and for people with depression, blah, blah, blah." And she goes on. And then the journalist interrupts her and says, No, I mean in like real life, not like in that game." And that was so super insulting. It is real for her. It's what she does. It's what empowers her. And this we're talking about identity. And by identity, I think we need to go beyond like, I'm a robot or I'm this and that. I am what I do in this world, and that is to me totally amazing. Coming from Germany and having lived in the U.S., I sometimes compare it to like, I jump on the Mayflower and I'm going to the New World, where nobody knows what I did like last week. I can completely reinvent myself, and that is completely empowering. So that's one thing. The other thing, I did a story about an African-American woman from Baton Rouge. She's an AIDS nurse for kids with AIDS, really tough job, and she plays a virtual fashion model, quote unquote. In Second Life, she's a superstar. She's a fashion model. She has her own magazine, for Roche. They print that magazine on real paper in real life. They send it out to the fans. Now, her fashion model persona is not African American. She's white. Okay? On the surface, people go like, "Oh my God, look, she's playing a white woman. How stupid is that?" No, it's a lot deeper than that. I interviewed her. I interviewed every one of them for hours before I even start the story. And she grew up all over the world because her parents were in the army. So she grew up in Japan. She grew up in Germany, and she said to me before they moved back to the U.S., race wasn't even an issue for her. So she was just, when she created that avatar, it was not like, "Hey, I want to play a white person." No, it was like, I want to put into this avatar my entire experience growing up internationally, being in diverse places. I want this avatar to reflect all this stuff at the same time. And that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, this is what virtual reality really the power is.
Yeah. I think same that virtual reality is going to change the world. It collapses distance, helps with like kind of leveling the playing field of like the haves and have-nots. Now people have all kinds of things or dreams, but I want to talk about like some of that really good work being done. Sure.
I want to throw in one thing, because what you said, this is what we got to be careful. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but as much as I love Snow Crash and Ready Player One, we got to keep in mind what you said. I believe in that too. Like it collapses like, people's opportunities, and it gives more opportunity. But we also got to keep in mind that Ready Player One ultimately is really not a very utopian novel. There's a lot of people who have absolutely nothing. And we got at the same time, as alluring this space is, and as I've been telling you guys stories about people making a lot of money and being economically empowered in Second Life, that's not true for everyone. So it is leveling the playing field, definitely, but it's not it's not where it should be, I think. And right now in the quote unquote real world, we have tremendous disparities, and we got to be very careful, because there's people making shitloads of money, and I don't want to call out anybody specifically, but there are some very young people who are at the helm of some of these companies in Silicon Valley, and they benefit. And I'm not saying they're evil or anything. They're making a lot of money, and other people are not. For example, schools. I think it's cool to have online education. I have nothing against it. But if the end game is for Silicon Valley to kind of have everyone having sort of an automated experience, and then Bill Gates sends his kids to a super fancy private school, then that's not really leveling the playing field. That's just keeping the status quo between rich and poor.
That makes me think of something like what's another great barrier. That's what VR is doing. It's well, the internet, extending ourselves with digital abilities, I guess. It's all breaking down barriers like distance. I feel like I'm a global citizen in some sort of way, but shit, I already forgot. Something that you just said just really triggered me, but I can't, so I just lost it. Well, some of the more stuff that I'm really interested in is like the nonprofit work, all that good work that's going. Oh wait, I think I remember it was collapsing barriers. Oh come on, brain, it's been a hard day. Collapsing,
leveling playing field.
It collapses all kinds barriers. Of no. Oh, education.
Education, right.
Education, got it. So now one of the best teachers that Bill Gates sends, the teacher that teaches Bill Gates' kid can now teach everyone because they can just be right here teaching, and everybody in the virtual audience, which can be whatever amount of people, could tune into that lecture and potentially ask questions to be there live.
That is a really good point, and I hope that this is actually going to happen. And you're making a good point. So in theory, all this stuff, and there's tremendous positive stuff happening in that regard, where it's opening up, and Stanford is putting courses online, and all of a sudden, that information, that knowledge is accessible. At the same time, though, I just picked Bill Gates because he said in an interview that I heard a while ago that because he's pushing a lot of automated stuff, and I have a 12-year-old, and they had one of those automated math systems that was appalling, and it's a lot of money, and there's a lot of private educational companies making a lot of money with this automation. Bill Gates was saying oh yeah, this is the future, and then the interviewer said to him, yeah, but wait a minute, if automation is the future, or online education or whatnot, why do you send your kids to this fancy private school where they have, I don't know, they do clay in the morning, and then they do Gregorian chant, and it's all super fancy cultural crap. Bill Gates said, without any sense of irony, said, well, my kids don't thrive in that automated environment. It's better for them to be sort of a one-on-one. And that is so incredibly arrogant. I'm not quoting him directly. This is from my recollection. But we this is just so completely out of touch with the reality of most people, where we go to schools where the roof is leaking, and we barely have books. So we got to fix that stuff first. There's not Palmer Luckey, and God bless him, he's very young. I said a lot of stupid things when I was in my mid-20s. And we also got to distinguish between being a brilliant engineer and a brilliant person evaluating science or social science. And Palmer Luckey made a bunch of statements that I don't think are very smart. From his perspective, from an economic perspective, it is. If he manages to sell to every school district in the United States a whole bunch of Oculus, then he's going to make a lot of bank. But if they use that to substitute a real person and reduce the class sizes and give equity to every single child, that's a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive and a much more important investment. But what you're saying, going back to what you're saying, opening up information and having information accessible, that is of course totally awesome. And that's why we, all of us enthusiastic about this space, we gotta really kind of keep our eyes on the prize, that this is not just a playground for a small elite of super rich to monetize us, but us actually being empowered.
Yeah.
God, it's awesome when you stand. You know, you feel like a politician.
Awesome, yeah.
Kind of.
It actually kind of, and you can move, you can turn more, and I'm looking at you, I'm like, we should all be standing, but it's not what I
Gunter, we
designed
need
to.
to, no, listen, Gunter, we need to run for the presidency of the metaverse. We're going to have Deep Drifter as our campaign manager, and
I do not want to be
Someone already
president.
claimed that they're president of VR. It wasn't in second. It was in some other
the first
program.
president of VR. No, I'm the first. No, I'm.
It was like a Second Life kind of clone, or maybe not a clone, but is the proper word. But I've seen that recently.
Trump's there.
Yeah, Trump is over here somewhere. Where's Trump?
Yeah.
Hey, there's Super Sue's. Let me give a shout out to Super Sue's. Super Sue's over here from Second Life. Wow, I got some Second Life. Oh fuck! I just hit the.
Nice. Welcome.
I just hit my camera.
You're gonna break some equipment, and by the time the show's over, and it's going to be great material for the show, but very sad for for your.
Very sad for my wallet.
Yes. Okay, what do I have? A lot of stuff. Mental health. I heard something in one of those stories. Somebody was helping people with mental health illness, and that's a topic that is close to. It's important to me. And can you talk about? Yeah, sure. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm just setting up the control. I'm listening to you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Cool. Yeah, mental health in Second Life. Yeah. Yep.
Right. So there's a bunch of things. I did a long story with a clinical psychologist from San Diego, and she had a practice in Second Life, so people could go to her and talk to her, and had a therapy session. And so she did that within the confines of Second Life, and.
I'll go to mute. Oh, there you go. You're good.
Oh, was I on mute? Am I still on mute?
Nope, no. For just a second, I thought it was just a lag or something. You're good.
What was empowering, what I learned from interviewing this therapist was kind of what I said earlier, is that the anonymity is actually incredibly empowering. So something that Zuckerberg and the other folks who want to kind of monetize our personal data say, this is bad, it actually is very good. And so people came into her practice in Second Life in a really, really nice setting. Again, this is another thing. You can create a setting that is helpful to reduce anxiety, for instance. So, you imagine you have any number of issues. If you have an acute psychosis and you're stabilized by medication, I'm just using a hypothetical. By the way, I did civil service in Germany at a psychiatric institution. I always wanted to become a psychologist, and then I didn't. But that's a whole nother story. But the point is that if you can create in Second Life, and then again, this applies to virtual reality going forward, you can create environments that are very soothing. You don't have to go into a harsh office with neon lighting or whatnot. That's number one. Another story that I did with so here we're talking about I was just mentioning psychosis or anxiety or any number of issues. Let's talk about addiction. I did a story about an addiction counselor who also created soothing environments in Second Life, and enabled and encouraged anonymity, because then you can peel back the onion on your own pace. And that is incredibly empowering, because it's a safe space. It's a safe place where you can be, and you can very slowly create a relationship with this therapist or within a group setting even, and you're not defined by it. I want to encourage everyone here in the audience to watch Draxfiles video number 28. Okay? Number 28 is the story of Whiskey Monday. That's her Second Life name. she suffered from severe depression. She was suicidal. She couldn't go out. And in the story, how she told me that was friends. She had friends. She was not socially isolated. But what was really the problem was that her friends always wanted to help her. They always so it was not sometimes it's the problem. The problem is social isolation. In her case, it was the constant phone calls at the well meeting, right? We hopefully, thankfully, we're talking more openly in society about depression, because the cliche is like, why don't you just, why don't when some depressed person says I can't get up and out of bed, and they say, well, why don't you just pull yourself together and get out of bed? Well, it's not that easy, right? So she was really, there was a real problem for her that she couldn't sort of say, please don't call me anymore, because then people go like, oh, if we don't call her, she's going to jump off a bridge. She went to Second Life, and she was able to be there, go to concerts, go to museums, I didn't even mention the wonderful art scene in Second Life, which is huge, immersive art, also made by people with disabilities. So Whiskey Monday was able to be a different person in a good way, because she was not associated with her illness. She was not confined by the diagnosis. That was number one. So the environment, by just being there, having this escape, and escape always has this negative connotation. In this case, it was uniformly positive, because she was able, in a random conversation, if she would go to a concert in Second Life, let's say, and she meets someone and they start a conversation, it's her decision to start talking about, I'm actually really depressed, I have these issues, or not. It is open to her how much she wants to reveal. In real life, most of us would have to go to another town, or it's not that easy. So this is the empowering aspect. But then on top of it, I was going to say real quick, then Whiskey Monday,
or has other issues.
Right. Sorry, go ahead. I was talking.
Yeah, and there's like a 5-second delay, so a little bit that's going on. But no, please continue.
So this was the one aspect that helped Whiskey Monday, but then of course the other one, because she had an artistic sensibility and she was doing art, and her mother is a well-known visual artist. She did stories in Second Life. She used Second Life scenes, sims, islands, digital virtual products, assets, objects, whatever you want to call it. She rearranged them, and she took photos of them. So guys, just watch Draxfiles 28, because I can talk all night. It speaks for itself. So she was able to, instead of drawing, she put together rooms, like dioramas or whatever you want to call it, a 3-dimensional representation of how she felt. And here's the kicker: there's a lot of stuff in Second Life where people actually build immersive artworks where you're supposed to walk inside. Like there's a woman who does stuff with the Holocaust themed stuff, where you walk inside and you're engulfed and you're totally immersed in it. But Whiskey Monday makes these 3-dimensional spaces, and then she just takes a 2D photograph of it, and then she shares that photograph. So it's like, it's amazing. It's quite unique. I mean, other people do it, but her story is just incredible.
I always like hearing about virtual worlds and VR doing the good work, right? And nonprofit work, I know, is going on there. You just mentioned the art scene. I mean, this is all stuff that's going to be happening here in VRChat. We've been talking about these things. This is what people want to do, and it makes me think like virtual reality just is another like reality. It's not necessarily a not real reality. I feel just real when I'm here and then.
Exactly, and that's actually a challenge to overcome still. I mean, the press is so positive, driven by sort of the economics, and everybody sees dollar signs. So that's why it's positive press, and it's another thing that is interesting because the word virtual was really kind of a negative word because of precisely the reason that you mentioned, because people associate it with like escaping. That's right. Oh, you can't face reality, so you got to go into your little stupid game. So this is an uphill battle. It's going to be still an uphill battle where we all need to really kind of own this. We really, and I'm so used to it because I became it wasn't the plan, but then I became the spokesperson for sort of Second Life, and I always encounter people who would say stuff like that, like, oh, come on, like this is just some loser escaping his dreary life and whatever, and it has no impact. And so no, this is real. If I'm here, I'm with you guys now. I'm going to be sleeping later, and I'm going to probably have a dream about some ponies or Donald Trump standing behind me. So it's real, right? I mean, we all know this, but people outside, they don't, and they still have these. It's interesting in Germany. I remember when we still lived in California, like 2 years ago. We used to go on vacation here in the summer. So now we live in Munich. But 3 years ago, I went to Munich, and I go to the big downtown area, and there's like this fair of nonprofits, various causes. Everybody has a little tent, drug abuse, sexual abuse here and there. And there was a big tent with World of Warcraft addiction. So I'm not going to diminish the issue. There is an issue with online addiction. There is an issue with all sorts of game-related addictions. But I found that really silly because it is really reductive. The issue is somewhere else. The addiction to World of Warcraft is a symptom of a larger problem. To vilify this game company was, to me, ridiculous. I understand the grievance. This was about a family where the son, I don't know if he committed suicide. I don't even know. But it was a terrible, a really sad story. And the emotions of this family that started this group went all towards Blizzard, like they're the evil guys. Yeah. We got to be really careful about this stuff. It's like, it's just more complex like that. If people will find an outlet. Addiction starts with bad television and a 12-pack and a bag of weed. I don't know where I'm going on with the weed. I don't smoke. It's just that my 12-year-old is obsessed with the word weed right now.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. A couple more things from me, and then what I'd like to do is spend time having the audience ask questions or just talk to us about any of this stuff. And Bob, if you have any, Bob, do you have anything on your mind on to ask Drax?
Yeah, you've mentioned some pretty amazing stories.
Can you toggle real quick, Drax?
Oh, what am I doing? Oh shit! Yeah, sorry.
Your mic's open.
Your mic can toggle off. Cool.
Okay, so you've mentioned some pretty amazing stories about other people. Has there been any, maybe one that's experience that you've had in Second Life that was very emotional for you personally?
It's a good question. I think being involved with a group called Virtual Ability. That's a group out of Denver that was founded by a woman mentioned briefly earlier who has multiple sclerosis, and she just founded that with a friend of hers. But it's pretty big now. They have meetings with caregivers. They have meetings with scientists, with doctors. They have the mental health symposium once a year where it's 2 days of 12-hour talks in Second Life in this huge auditorium. And I've spent a lot of time there. And I've encountered a lot of stories of people who, again, I mean, I sound like a broken record, who are just empowered by this medium. And it's so heartfelt. I don't know, sometimes I think, like, why is it... my mother was a special ed teacher. I think I was hanging out with disabled kids as a little kid like all the time. It was something completely normal. And so I grew up that way, and I realized later on how people with disabilities, physical disabilities, other disabilities are just, it's all just sort of lip service, like, oh, we're all inclusive. When it comes down to it, we judge people right away. We judge a guy in a wheelchair. We judge, we're not even sort of consciously doing that. I think it's a lot of subconscious stuff. And so working in Second Life with the virtual ability community is making me feel like it's heartwarming every single day when I see how people who cannot speak, they can type. This is actually a criticism. Iliastra, my friend from Second Life over here, we talked about this earlier, and I know it's a challenge because we have goggles on and all this kind of stuff, but the absence of text chat, I think, is a big problem. There's a huge deaf-mute community in Second Life that is completely thriving there. Some of them are socially isolated. There's sad stories behind them, and here they are. They can communicate, and they communicate with text. And as much respect that I have for Philip Rosedale, founder of Second Life now, with high fidelity, and I really don't want to put this on him, but one time he said, and I found that a little insensitive, he was like, yeah, high fidelity, is there going to be text? And he goes, nah, probably not. But you can write your little chat interface. Of course he's right. You can, in JavaScript, you can write something real quick. You can. I can't. Maybe they can't either. There's people who they don't have those resources. So yeah, I'm becoming a broken record. Accessibility is the word. Exactly.
It's really important for anybody that's a company that has a community behind it. Definitely needs to be thinking about that, and it's something I never even considered. And I like the idea of not having text chat here because it reinforces the communicating via verbally. It's certainly how I like to communicate. But
yeah, but
and
you're right.
But
if
want
you
the
can.
text chat. Pretty much everybody here would like to actually have some text chat. They could be chatting right now while we're talking, not interrupting. But I also like, I don't know, how would we deal with it in the real world? But then again, why would we limit this person that?
But we
has a
do it in
disability
the real
to
world.
how we-
People just pull out their phones, and you see pictures of teenagers all sitting at the same table and they're just texting each other.
Yeah, but that's a negative. Let me jump in here because Gunter's making a great point, and what you're saying, I'm going to call you Cause and Effects because that's just an awesome name. So what you're saying is, Gunter is making an important point here that it forces people to their attention, and that's something I actually really like about the goggles too. It's a very positive thing with this madness of multitasking, which I think is really kind of making the experience more shallow. Here it focuses the experience on where we are in the presence right now. What you're saying, Cause and Effects, is driving me nuts. This is frankly how the world is going down in the hell in a handbasket because people can't even, focus on one thing at a time. They gotta I've seen this when I picked up my son from school when he was maybe 7 or 8. The kids run out of school. The parents are there. They're on their phone. The kid comes out. The kid wants to connect with the mother. It's like, hey, you know what we did in school? The mother says, wait, I got an update on Facebook that it's 57 degrees and I'm freezing. Hold on. Fuck this shit. So,
I kind of more meant it as people who are deaf can communicate and they could do it in here too, that same kind of way. I mean, I didn't necessarily mean to bring that up as a negative thing.
Yeah. No. I get you. But totally. What I think is the best solution of both worlds is to have. I've seen it in Second Life talk shows. People can put their 2 cents about what's going on into the open chat, and then the panelists can pick it up. So it's like Twitch in a way, right? And in Twitch you stream, and then you look at it and you see, okay, here's an interesting comment. Let me incorporate this into the conversation. So that's what I find really works. But also, again, accessibility for people who are not able. or willing to use their voice. There can be a million reasons. I did a story in Second Life about an autistic woman, and she says she loves text chat. She's not afraid of using her voice, but with her autism, what the issue is that she sometimes takes longer to process information and then to put a response out. Now, when everybody uses voice, people are used to, like, people get like weirded out when somebody doesn't respond like right away. They go like, hey, what's wrong with you? Didn't you hear me? But with text, everybody is used to a little bit of a delay and is accepting of that delay. And she says that really suits her because then people don't look at her like she's some sort of freak or something, which she says in real life that often happens. In a party, when there's a conversation and people turn to her and say, what do you think about this? And there's silence. And she, there's a stigma, right? And people go like, why don't you say anything? Are you like mental or something? And so again, we're going back to the same theme. It's empowering because it provides comfort in the way it works. Yeah.
It's a great point.
By the way,
I wonder if like the community, or if the community will create something like we will have these little virtual tablets, but because. Yeah, that if you want to opt into text chat, I think it'd be cool to have like a in the environment, like having I guess it's like having a computer screen. It could be just a UI on you, but I'd rather see like, I go and I pick up my little text thing reader and I look at it and then I can put it back down. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yes. Totally. That would be totally cool. I know what you're saying. Like, it's really integrated into it. Doesn't feel like a foreign object. Like, I could pull out of my pocket, I take out the tablet and I start typing, and that signals this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm communicating. Totally. I mean, that is of course.
And anybody can learn that, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of like pulling up a UI, making sure you're whispering to the right person, or it gets complicated. I know we want to get rid of complicated UI menus. Just make it like our real life, using our hands, picking things up. Okay. Bobby, you have anything else you want to ask Drax?
Nothing off the top of my head right now. We should open it up maybe for some questions from the audience.
I got a bail. Let me do a quick calculation in my head. At 12:30 a.m. Eastern. What time is it right now? I gotta wake up.
12.
It's pretty late.
It's midnight now.
It's midnight. Yeah, so half an hour.
So like 30 minutes.
If I don't have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. So how about just a few questions?
Is there a way to pee in virtual reality?
Yeah, just start peeing.
Gotta wear a diaper.
2 liters.
You need it.
You
need a bottle.
Keep
a bottle handy.
Catheter.
I have a question. Can I start off with a question?
Or get a toilet and make that your seat. Like just sit on your move your office into your bathroom.
Idiocracy is on the horizon. Everybody rewatch Idiocracy. Me too.
I definitely need to rewatch it.
Question.
Yes. Dave, what's up, dude?
Yeah, I have a quick question. What's the easiest way to make money in Second Life? Because I tried fishing and it's not very productive.
Try escorting.
Have you tried? Are you a professional fisherman in real life? No, I mean, but this is a good question in the sense that I would say you make money just like you make money in real life. And the way I raise my kids is to say, find something that you're passionate about. It sounds like a cliche, but I really believe it. Find something that you're passionate about, and then you will find a way to monetize it. Don't do it the other way around. If you, when my son was in 3rd grade, the teacher asked the typical question, so what do you guys want to do when you grow up? People go like, I want to be a programmer, I want to be this and that. And some guy in our town, like the kid, said, I want to make $1 billion. And now, guess what his father does for a living? His father is a hedge fund manager. So in 3rd grade, every kid probably kind of mirrors what their parents do, right? So this kid sees his father leave in the morning, come back late at night, go golfing on the weekend, and magically in front of the house are 3 sports cars. He goes like, I have no clue what my dad does, but there's a lot of anemones and we go on really fancy vacations. I want to do the same thing. So in contrast, going back to Second Life, go in there. What is your skill set? What can you offer? And then just basically, what is needed. The woman that I profiled just now with the shoes, she does shoes. When she came into Second Life, and that was in 2005, so people who've been in there a while have an advantage because they know the market better, and they already established a brand. But it's not impossible at all to go in there today and find out something really cool that people haven't thought of, and then just make it. My next story, which is coming Friday, is about a 28-year-old Italian guy who makes games. He makes horror games in Second Life. Sometimes he makes assets in Blender. He imports it, but the rest is all scripted and made in Second Life. He charges an entrance fee. He charges for the head-mounted display, for the HUD, for the heads-up display, to play the game, to be able to score the points and all that. Those are all micropayments. One HUD costs maybe 50 cents US or something, right? But he gets a lot of people in there every single day, so that's how he makes money. There's tons of different ways to make money. Again, the musician thing. My friend Obel in Denver, he plays 3 shows per day. He plays a morning show for the Japanese audience. He plays a midday show for the American audience. He plays an evening show for the European audience. By show, I mean he's a looper, so he plays every instrument. He plays drums, then he puts that into the loop, then he adds some bass, and so it's all improvisation. He's very talented. Again, it comes back to talent and hard work. In a way, the Second Life economy is reflective of a good version of the real life economy, of the quote-unquote real free market, because it's like mom and pop type of business, right? So there was a story in 2008 where somebody outsold Adidas in shoes, in virtual shoes. Adidas came into Second Life. That's one of the famous stories where a big brand failed, and I think that's going to happen in VR too. Adidas came into Second Life, analyzing Second Life, going like, oh, there's millions of eyeballs. We have a huge brand. We're going to make shitloads of money. Let's go in there. Let's put up a virtual Adidas mall for brand awareness. We're going to sell these shoes. They sold no shoes. Some guy in Cologne here in Germany who, after hours when he came back from his real-life job, modeled little shoes. He outsold Adidas, this huge international brand. Why? Because he applied very, very old-fashioned values of a small business. He was always in his store. People came into the store. He talked to each person individually, and he forged these really good customer relations. So it's not rocket science, and it's cool. It flips the whole model. Again, this is another aspect where I'm really hopeful that this is maybe empowering people. So Dave,
there's real people behind everything. That's what I really like.
But Dave, if you make an awesome fishing game, or if you sell your fish, who knows?
Well, what I used to do is I used to buy Linden. And then use the Linden to buy Bitcoin. So I used it for like speculation. So maybe I could buy Linden, hold on to it until the virtual reality world that they create comes out. So Linden will obviously go up in value. So if I buy it now when it's cheap, sell it later, then I could possibly make a lot of money.
That is not a stupid idea. By the way, the Lindex, if you watch the Linden, there are people doing that. They're speculating on the Lindex. They buy and sell, and then they make money on the difference because the Lindex fluctuates a little bit. There was just a few weeks ago was an issue where it fluctuated really in dramatic ways, where people didn't cash out, and it was almost like an issue where people stopped cashing out because it was so low. I mean, we're talking about content creators that make a whole bunch of Lindens in world, and then they wait to cash out into US or euros when the time is ripe, and the linden was low, so they didn't cash out. So the supplies of lindens went up. I mean, I'm not a financial expert. I did an interview with the guy who ran the currency exchange at Linden Lab, and he explained it to me, but I already forgot it. It's too complex. I should
exactly
stick
Alex, exactly. I found that'd be interesting. Let's move on to some more questions. Two.
I got one.
Anybody else? Yeah. What's up, Illustra? Hold on. Don't even tell me. Yeah, okay. Illustra.
So I have a question for Drax about Drax. So you have a trademark after your name. You are a brand. So, and you look like Draxter Dupre in this VR chat. So what would have happened if you had looked down and you were in a completely unrecognizable avatar to you? How would you feel? I've been studying identity quite a bit lately, and I know that when I look down now and I'm not quote-unquote me as I appear in Second Life, I feel really strange, like I'm a tourist in someone else's body. When you first came to VR chat, did you feel like a tourist in someone else's body?
You're muted now. You weren't. You actually were open before.
I did, okay. Iliastra, great question. So first of all, Iliastra is a friend from Second Life. He appeared on the podcast as well. Really deep thinker on these issues, and this is exactly how I feel, and this is exactly why I think it is so important for the future to have portable avatars, because I am Draxter. I am. This is who I am. This is my choice. This is my the person, the digital alter ego that I crafted, and that person has a certain personality, which is almost the same as I have in real life. You know, a lot of people do role play. They have very different personalities in Second Life, and that's fine. With me, it's I would say almost the same. But also the visual appearance, the physical appearance is completely important. I don't have an interesting experience. Like, my son is a gamer. He can hop between these different game personalities. Oh, now I'm this guy, now I'm that guy. I'm totally not like that. I can't. Like, he shows me this game, say, hey, play it. Like, I feel weird. I feel like a tourist, and I don't want to feel like a tourist. I did 2 stories about game design in Second Life, and the point that these game designers made, the unique thing about making a game in Second Life is that you can play as yourself. You don't inhabit another person. So even though any given game in Second Life might require you to put on, let's say, like a uniform or something, like the story that's coming Friday is a shooter game called Drone Wars, and of course you put on a helmet and everything, but you're underneath, you're still yourself. Like Iliastra over here is a dude in camo. I mean, I couldn't recognize you. I was like, who the hell are you? And then I hear your voice, so that's really weird for us. We're so tied to our identities, and it's so completely important. And let me end by giving a shout out to Shadeen Monroe and Medhu Simoni and Mei Li O, all Second Life content creators who helped me put this avatar together, which is like my Second Life avatar. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's so great that we were able, or you were able to make that happen and get. I mean, you look great, man. I love your avatar. Here you are.
And I'm telling you honestly, I mean, that would have been really weird. I was really worried.
In another metaverse.
Do we get this going time-wise? Can we? Oops, is it on? Yeah, I think. Shit, I don't see it.
You're good.
Okay. Because when you said let's do this on July 12th, then I got like I got very anxious, because I go like, oh my God, if what happens if I don't get my avatar done in time? You know, I don't want to show up, but I can't. It would have been so weird for me to not be here as myself. It just doesn't work. It makes no sense to me.
Especially you being the guest on a show as yourself.
Yeah, but look, but again, you know, what does that mean, yourself, right? I mean, there's people in my circle of friends and family who roll their eyes and, would argue, Drax, you should really see a doctor if you think like you're this person with the flip-flops and that dreadlocks, and, you're not. Like, and I would argue, no, I am. this is me. Nobody says to a child, you got to seek mental health care treatment when the child draws something on a piece of paper and it looks like something other than the child, and the child says, that's me, right? We admire that imagination. We admire that way to express ourselves, and then all of a sudden we become adults, and all of a sudden it's not okay anymore to, to dress up or digitally dress up. I mean, we laugh about furry conventions. I don't anymore. I don't laugh about furry conventions. Sometimes I do a little bit, but fact of the matter is, that we need to be more playful with how we express ourselves, and then some people are tied to their identity. Others, by the way, in Second Life, there's also plenty of people who change their avatar daily or hourly. There's a guy. He's a toaster one time, then he's a car, then he's a dog. So it's about choice, I guess.
Do you wear different outfits or you just keep the same one?
I do have a whole bunch of different T-shirts. I have a cool T-shirt that is also a fundraising T-shirt where it says, I want to believe. The Drax is out there. That was a campaign to fund the podcast, and it sold not like hotcakes, but it was okay. But essentially, my physical appearance is always the same. I just change my clothes. I have a tuxedo if there's like an event. I have different shoes, but primarily I have this cartoon cell shaded pants, and I have a cool Pac-Man shirt with an animated Pac-Man thing. Yeah, it's pretty boring. I have the microphone in Second Life. I don't have a microphone here. Yeah, that's weird. Excuse me. Oh, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah, so I think you've got a split soon. Is that correct? You want to take more questions, or should we wrap up?
Yeah. If Roblem is sitting behind me, also a long time Second Lifer. Hey, Rob. I didn't see you because you're behind me. It's disorienting.
Nice job.
I was gonna say one thing about identity and how I appear. It's also Iliastra was saying about branding. Just like with you, Gunter, the Draxter entity or branding is also tied to that visual representation. So, it's just like a musician or something. I mean, Angus Young. Why do I go back to Angus Young? Let's use a more contemporary.
Because he always wears shorts.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, man. Actually, this is a subconscious. This is the reason why I'm wearing shorts. No. Oh, this is what I want to say. Actually, I'm not a bus driver on my T-shirt refers to something that me and my musician friends or creative friends who don't have set hours, we always sometimes get into that mode where we go like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we were bus drivers and then we have set hours and we do a really honest, good job. We drive people around and we earn an honest living, but we can sort of start at a certain hour and then we end at a certain hour. And then, like, when we're like coming off a 20-hour, I don't know, audio post-production, that's my real life job is in audio primarily. So sometimes, the hours are really crazy and it just has to be finished and there is no set, like I can't go home before it's finished. And that's when we sort of romanticize the 9 to 5. But then when we think it through, we go like, what the hell? No. 9 to 5 would be crazy.
Yeah.
It's not that desirable.
Same thoughts. I work at different hours, but sometimes I'm like, I just wish I could go and then leave at a certain time, like I used to a while ago. But then if I went back to that, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Cool. One more question.
I've got one.
There is one. Hey, yeah. Deep.
Yeah. Draxter, I'm curious, as you are an owner of an HMD now, I'm curious how this is going to impact your involvement in immersive digital environments, if at all.
That's an excellent question, and let me tell you that there are 3 projects that I'm working on right now that I want to be careful about when they will be seen, but I'm working on 2 360 video projects, one where I'm filming myself and one where I am designing the experience and there's a team filming it, and one is about the history of lynching in the United States. It's a very, very grim documentary, very important documentary. I hope that film will come out early 2017. So we haven't even spoken about 360 videos. So that's that. There's a little bit of CGI VR in there, but it's primarily 360. And I'm working on a commercial project with an Italian ski resort that has a virtual reality component in it. So that's in production right now. So I'm working on things related to that in a professional way. Now, I have two HTC Vives actually here because we're also building a green screen studio, hopefully done in next month, but don't hold your breath. We have a very nice room, and I want to do some mixed reality videos, and then when Project Sansar comes live, I will be doing some mixed reality videos for Linden Lab. So that's all in play. Having said that, I'm going to say what I've said before. My experience in Second Life is my primary experience, and that is so rewarding, and it's also time-consuming in a good way. I'm doing a story the pacing, the turnaround of these stories is tremendous, and I realize now that I have this Vive. It's certainly cool, and I've done it, before. In SVVR 2014 was, I think, the first time I tried HMD, so I'm familiar with it, but it's weird. I seriously hardly ever use it. I use it for connected to the projects that I mentioned where we have to do it, but leisurely, I find myself not using it. And I'm not saying it's not cool. It's totally cool. Like, I can wave with my arms and I see my arms here. But the experience I have in Second Life, building things, building sets. We build a set every other day with my team of 10 people. We build a completely new imaginative set. I just came off a set before I went take a nap to prepare for this show. We're going to do a set tomorrow with a huge movie theater. So I'm fully connected, I'm fully immersed, and I feel the headset is the icing on the cake, but what is underneath the human connection and the experiential thing is not is way more important. And again, it's not to devalue the headset, but it's frankly, it's not necessary. And yeah, that's how I feel.
I had a quick note on that. I was just curious, what about not using it in as a VR, headset, like using it more as a screen, like a bigger screen, or multi-management, using your headset, but not like you are now?
Yeah, but then I wouldn't be wearing the headset. I have 4 screens in my office here. I have a huge screen where when I sit in front and I focus on it, I don't see anything besides it. To me, the creative aspect, I feel a connection with you guys here. There's no doubt. It's cool. I feel immersed. But contrary to what the press tells me every day, I don't need the headset to feel immersed. But I also read, maybe that has to do with, I don't know, I don't want to sound elitist or anything, but I also read paper books. And I can feel immersed in a book. So the human connection that I have with the folks in Second Life, because I have so much
my wife out there too.
Yeah. The human, this gets lost sometimes. Cause earlier was reading the specs of these new cards, and that reminded me when I was listening to you is that in the music industry that I work in and in the audio field, you can have conversations about specs of new gear all day long, and you can salivate over that gear, and I can certainly participate in talking about, I don't know, a handmade jazz guitar or some other, or plug-in, let's talk about the digital, it doesn't matter. I bought a piano a couple months ago. I can talk about the specs of that piano and why it sounds great, and hear the hammers, and then that microphone that I just bought that picks it up, and it was modeled after a Telefunken, but it was made in China, so they took the original ribbons, blah blah blah. But nothing of that matters if I don't press the key of that piano and play a nice chord and put a melody on top of it, because and that's what I'm talking about. The maybe that's a flawed analogy, but what matters are the stories, what matters are the people, and the rest is icing on the cake.
Yeah, I'm right with you when it comes to that. Like, it's about the people, the connections, the things you build, the things you create, the impact you make. I mean, yeah. So I'm less about knowing all the hardware changes fast. It's if I don't do anything with my hardware, then it's just a waste. And it's cool, but I do think being not immersed, having presence, like where something happens and my brain and my body just reacts. It's like I don't even. It's more than just talking. It's more. It's like I look over and your face is right here in mine, and I'm like, whoa, that's just the beginning. I'm wondering where this is going to go, and I think I feel deeper connected with people in this. Maybe it's just because of the niche of people my age, people that are mature because they're buying into this. But I'm much more connected and feel like I'm here with people than, say, in massive online worlds that I've participated in. So for me, there is that. It's getting harder for me to go back to a screen.
Right. I completely hear what you're saying, but there's two sides of this. One is a positive thing, and one is a negative. What you just said, it's hard for me to go back to a screen. So we also I think there's a level of desensitization that scares me a little bit. That the immediacy and the visceral nature of being fully immersed with the added hardware is making it possibly not possible anymore to enjoy other things of sort of milder immersion or investment, similar to when you eat at McDonald's every day, or you only eat pizza. It's going to be really hard for you to appreciate, like, I don't know, like a good piece of broccoli. And I don't want to push broccoli on you guys, but when you live on salty foods all day long, it's another flawed analogy. I don't want to compare full immersion with something as crappy as a McDonald's burger. I'm just saying that this is one aspect, but the other aspect that you mentioned, and this may be unique to Second Life again, and to people who have been in there, and it's maybe not possible for people just teleporting in or parachuting in and then going back out. For us in Second Life, we feel fully immersed. And I think the reason is because we have an investment in the space. We made the space, right? You mentioned MMOs.
Absolutely.
I think the big difference between most MMOs and Second Life is that the other MMOs, there's less of what you can do to create your own space. It's within the confines of the graphic, the aesthetics that MMO presents. Sure, there's all sorts of really cool stories. This DJ in Halo years ago and whatnot. But there is something, and again, I mean, I've seen this with people from the disability folks. Some of them have computers that are really shitty. Second Life has fabulous graphics with a machine that is $1,000 and up. It has tremendous high. It can't be compared to. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not gonna compare to games that are built on the Unreal Engine, let's say. But the Second Life visual fidelity is a lot higher than people think. That's also because the press always drags out like really old, shitty screenshots. But the thing is that a lot of people who are very invested in Second Life don't even dial it up that much. I've seen it myself, because when I film the real life portion of my documentary series, I want to show Second Life at its best, and then sometimes the protagonists that I interview, they have the settings dialed down all the way, and they go like, "Come on, let's dial it up. Let's see shadows. Let's see, let's look at this." And they go, "No, that's fine." you know, and go, how can you enjoy this experience with this blocky shit? And you know, I mean, you know, you don't even have shadows, you don't have the basic shaders on in some cases. They go, it doesn't matter to me. And so the most immersive thing maybe somebody says to another person is maybe in text chat on SMS. Say, I love you, I miss you, I want to, you know. But that, of course, only works when you have a pre-existing relationship, basically. And I know what Deep Rifter is saying. Just let me wrap this up, specifically addressing, because I know why Deep Rifter is saying this, because maybe sometimes I come across as if I'm sort of anti where the train is going. And Gunter, you were also saying, you know, we don't know where the train is going. There's any number of really cool novels that depict the future where we have contact lenses, where we have tactile experiences built into like little things that are not even noticeable. Rainbow's End is an awesome book where with the flick of a switch we change the entire overlay of the city in an AR type way. So yeah, this is just a step, but again, I just like radio is still around. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, I was
I'm comparing Second Life to radio. Jesus fucking Christ, I gotta go to bed.
No, Drax, I was going to say I don't even think it's an argument about HMDs or screens, right? It's, you know, what you've helped bring to light tonight is Second Life is an incredibly rich world, full of untold man-hours of creation. That in itself is absolutely unbelievable, and I can understand why people would be so invested in a world like that, whereas places like VRChat and we're newborns, man. We're just getting this process started, so I totally get that.
Right, and let me tell you what I said in the very beginning. I want to reiterate this in closing. I'm so impressed, like I told you, Gunter, because I was uninformed about what VRChat enables people to do. I think this is totally awesome, and I take back whatever I said might have been perceived as knocking it as some sort of like mediocre sort of clone of something. It's not. It's really, really awesome, and it's the next iteration, and it's way more creative. All we got to keep our eyes on the prize, and the prize is empowering people to become creators rather than passive recipients of entertainment that is pushed down from us from above, from like a very sort of small elitist group. And I'm not going to knock, you know, these people are talented. I have nothing against like my you know, again, my son is a gamer, so this is my connection to like what high quality games are out there. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know about it, and that shit is totally impressive. But at the same time, what is equally impressive is, you know, these games are made by tens or hundreds of people who work on it for years, and of course the shit's gonna look pretty good. But at the same time, when I look at an individual in SL or any other, or here, I was actually at the Seinfeld room yesterday. That was awesome. I gotta tell you, I was like, look, okay, let's test the VRChat, so I get ready for the thing, and I go, oh, there's Seinfeld. Okay, let's go in there. It was totally awesome. I was sitting there watching Seinfeld episodes, and so this is a creative act. This, to me, the Seinfeld room, is almost more exciting than, I don't know, Fallout 4 or whatever the iteration is right now. You know why? Because here's an individual and he just does it, versus here's a big company with millions of dollars with all these resources. Of course they're going to do some good stuff.
I hear you. I find the value in human beings. That's what I like most about finding social VR and these virtual worlds. It's changed my life. So thanks for all the wisdom. Like, I knew I was going to
dropping the knowledge.
Dropping the fucking knowledge, but now I got to wake up the kid.
About, yeah. Yep. Yep. All right, Drax. So Draxfiles, look it up. It's awesome. Still a little bit of a delay, but yes. Why don't you plug yourself? Draxfiles and Draxter.com. What else you got going on you want to point people to?
Oh, I was off. Okay, guys, first of all, Gunter, awesome. Thank you so much for inviting. This was a really invigorating talk, and this is really what it's about. Deep Rifter, now I understand the value of of the 900 euros I shelled out for this stupid vibe.
Oh my God,
because of VRChat, you can quote me on it. No, it's true because I was in high fidelity, and again, I mean, not to knock them, and the high fidelity demo at SVVR was really awesome. But then I log into high fidelity, and it's really still really raw. And I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not a scripter, you know. It's just too raw for me. I don't enjoy it, so I log off and I log in here, and shit works, and that's great. So please go to Draxter.com and look on YouTube. Watch episode 28 if you watch anything. These are 5-minute long. You can still play Fallout 4 afterwards. Now I sound like an old geezer. Like, oh, you kids, I'm going to give you some broccoli, and then later you can eat your McDonald's.
The DLC. It's going to desensitize you, and you're never going to read books again.
Yeah, but this is a...
maybe.
Most of us read Ready Player One, so...
It is really
let's not go there. Next time.
For pleasure. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, go to also if you want to see what I do in real life, go to metube.at. Not metube.com, but metube.at. That's a music video that is so wacky you will love it. And I did the music for it, and that's what I do in real life. And again, metube is a good example of something that had a big budget, that had a lot of people, and it looks awesome, and it's hilarious. But again, I tell people that go to me like, oh, do you work on MeetU? That's awesome. My God, I love this. And I will tell them, yeah, I'm proud of it, and it pays the bills, but at the same time, what people do in Second Life is just way more exciting because they don't have those resources. They don't have 5 cameras and 20 people, makeup people and whatnot, and they can't book downtown Vienna for 3 days to shoot this music video. They're sitting at home, but they have the same creative energy. They have the same ideas, and that's. And I'm going to shut up because that's where we need to get VR going. VR needs to be enabling. Oh God, this is awesome.
Gunter, you will definitely want to check out that music video. It is awesome.
See, now the Drifter. No, Gunter, don't check out that music video. Watch Draxfiles episode 28.
I'm going to do both.
And buy the T-shirt.
I am going to watch.
This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me.
I'm really invested in that.
But the thing is, I mean, you know, Deep Rifter, Chris, you know what I'm talking about. It's when you see what a child. To me, it goes back to leveling the playing field and empowering people. I have nothing against polished entertainment, but if somebody gives me $1 million to make something, it will look a certain way. But if somebody who has never been told you are creative, as a matter of fact, if somebody who has always been told, no, forget about it, don't even start drawing, or forget about it, you're not going to make money, you don't have it in you, look at these other people, they're good, you're not. If somebody overcomes these odds and is given a toolbox of creative tools like in SL or other places, and then that person does something, that renews my hope in humanity. And let me say one more thing. There's a guy who worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, who works on 2012. He does all the Lexus commercials, the Lexus ads, all the modeling. His name is Loz Hyde. He's in Second Life, and he's in episode 23, and he will tell you that the work he does in Second Life, he enjoys 1,000,000 times more than all this other stuff. And again, he's not like totally. You might argue now, well, yeah, he's just at the bottom of, Guardians of the Galaxy has maybe 1,000 animators, and he's probably really low on the totem pole, and he gets a lot of shit dumped on him from above. And of course, I understand that he doesn't like it that much because he can't express himself. No. That might be part of it, but he's not at the low end. He's pretty established special effects guy in Hollywood. He will tell you that the reason why he enjoys making things in Second Life is because he again empowers regular people with the stuff that he makes. He makes like lofts and buildings, and maybe somebody walks into his Second Life store and he buys a loft, and then makes this loft his dream loft, right? So he empowers someone else, while in Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, he does give people 2+ hours of fun entertainment, but ultimately, poof, nothing beyond there. So that's my larger point, why this stuff is empowering. But now we gotta
That's
go,
really
otherwise.
awesome.
Oh shit, no.
Yes, we'll do this all night long. So 2 things. Bob, you got anything going on you want to share?
Yeah, I'm hoping to try out the PlayStation VR again tomorrow. It's going to be near me, so hopefully tomorrow morning I'll go check that out. Then hopefully we're going to be recording our 2nd anniversary of Left-Handed VR Podcast this weekend, and so you can follow us LHVR Podcast on Twitter to see when new stuff releases.
Podcast.
Cool.
Yes.
Podcast, radio.
And we're on VRCasters.
All right.
VRCasters
So
is back
for
up.
me, right on 24-hour podcasting, tons of people on there. From a bunch of our friends. And I don't know, how many shows are on there? Like 6?
Yep, 6 shows.
Hey, look at that. Just pulled that right out. Cool. As far as my plugs, just come to VRChat. Hang out. Sunday's a great day. There's an European meetup and a U.S. meetup that are about 5 hours apart. So, yeah, come there and hang out with us. We'd love to meet you. And you could support me by going to guntersuniverse.com and signing up for the newsletter. Because what that does is let you know when the next show is, who's going to be on it. I think that's really cool. And you can also follow me at Gunters Universe, which will keep you up to date too. And I do have a Patreon set up, so if you want to donate $1 or something like that, always appreciative. Patreon.com/Gunter. I just got a new backer this week, so super happy. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks, Drax. You're awesome. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Kenny, running cams. Thanks to those Patreons that support me and everybody supporting me by being here in the audience and watching. And I love you guys, and I hope you guys continue to love this. So cheers, everybody.
Nice.
And I got to hit a button that's over here that now I'm tangled up in wires. And hold on, because I'm going to Oh, shit. It always does this. Because I got
the wire's got to go.
Oh, shit. The wire needs to go. I don't know when that's happened. Oh, I just dropped my controller. Sweet. All right, here we go.
It's the problems of the vibe. Oculus for the win. CD experiences.
Okay,
You
maybe
just
now.
destroyed my monitor here, too.
No.
Thanks, Drax.
Bye,
I gotta
Chris.
run too. Here, man.
Bye.
Give me
Yeah, dude.
a virtual hug, bro.
Oh, that is cool.
Take care.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, man. Good show.
Wow. That looks cool. Rob, I'm going to send you a message because I don't understand. Okay, I'll say bye and then we'll log off.
Yeah, poke me when you get a chance.
See you, Drax.
Filming, getting freaky.
Bye.
Hey, nice show. Bye.
Thanks for coming on.
Busting out the moves.
Yeah, that's some killer moves, buddy.